p.m. And welcome everybody to the March 5th, 2014 S&A meeting. Can't believe it's March already. We'll start with roll call and attendance. John Bowen. Here. JD Trest.
Right here.
I say your last name different every week, by the way.
No, you do. It's okay.
Sarah Feeney.
Here.
Miles Glover.
Here, JD.
Sharon Jonison. Kay Kennison.
Here.
Robert Lane.
Here.
Robert Mosier.
Here.
Josh Mutart.
Here.
Todd Shiver.
Here.
Ashley Stubbs.
Here.
Dustin.
Here.
Derek.
Here.
And I am present, and we have excused absences from Joey, Catherine O'Neill, and Connie Williams. So, she will not be joining us tonight. Let's see, we'll move on to section 3, agenda approval. I would like to entertain a motion to add observer request under, what was it called?
Old business, yeah.
Under old business, section A, subsection 2. What was the amount on that? 282.36. Alright, so yeah, I'd like to entertain a motion to add the observer request under section A, subsection 2, in the amount of $282.36. Robert?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Oh, Derek.
They're not here?
Well, if they're not here by the time you get to them, then
Yeah.
they were told that, yes, they were on the agenda.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. I'm gonna turn over the chair to Robert real quick. Robert, take over. Hello.
Okay.
Where are we?
The agenda's run a couple of minutes.
Alright,
Hey Robert, this is Ashley.
yeah?
I was going to ask Jacob, but you both work too. I'd like to briefly talk about some of the questions that came up about the rules of debate last week. And so, with your discretion, what do you think would be the most appropriate place to do that in the agenda?
Actually, we can do that underneath chair. I'm back.
Okay.
My report. Yeah, I'll yield to you when I give my report.
Okay, sounds good.
Sorry about that, guys. That was an important phone call. All right, so we approve the agenda?
We did the agenda, right?
No.
No?
No.
Oh.
All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, there, Dustin, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, agenda approved. Move on to approval of the minutes from February 26, 2014. You guys want to take a look at those real quick? I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the February 26, 2014 minutes. Miles?
So moved.
Is there a second? Robert Mosier, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, minutes approved. All right, we go to section 5, reports. I'll start with my report. As always, elections are open for the BOD. I'm going to remind you guys every week for the next 2 months. So if you're interested in running, I know we have some potential candidates in here. Go ahead and talk to Miles or myself. Additionally, I don't know if you all got the letter that was at the end of the table, but I'd like to discuss this letter with you. Just kind of get out here a copy. Let me get one. Yeah. We need you. Ashley, did you get an emailed copy?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so this last week, Brian Elliott, the BOD president, had a meeting with President Gaudino and Chief of Staff Cheryl Holter regarding the zip car implementation that you might be seeing in campus here. After that, they started discussing campus finances in regards to tuition, and we got some kind of bad news. So Central Washington University requested $5 million in supplemental funding, and they were not given that in either the House nor the Senate bill. And Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, but currently the bill in Senate states that we will get $1 million in supplemental funding for STEM programs, computer science, I believe is what it is. And
I don't have the bill in front of me, and it's thousands of line items long. So.
I'm pretty sure it's a STEM program. $1 million for that, so you get 1/5 what they asked for. Additionally, the bill in Senate states that Central Washington University cannot raise tuition, or any school in the state can't raise tuition. The bill in the House does not give us any supplemental funding, but it does state that each school can raise tuition as they see fit. So I sat down with Brian Elliott, the BOD president, and we met with the president's cabinet, so the provost, George Clark, CFO, the president, and the board of trustees were there for an emergency board of trustees meeting. And what looks like it might happen if we don't get the funding we need and we can't raise tuition, programs are going to get cut. We don't have a list of those programs yet, but the president will probably be putting that together in the next few weeks if it looks like that might happen. So as student body vice president and vice president, and then with Brian, the president, we had to weigh our options. Do we oppose the Senate bill with a tuition cap, or do we let programs get cut? And the board of directors voted to oppose the tuition freeze, which sounds completely absurd that a student government would oppose a tuition freeze. But let me give you some background history here. In 2011, we raised tuition 14% per year, while WSU and UW increased 20%, and WSU and WWU increased 16%. So we did not increase as high because we didn't want the financial impact to be felt by our students. But now the university is seeing financial hardship because of that lesser of an increase. While 40% still sounds crazy high per year, it was not as much as our counterparts. So we're in a tough situation here, and like I mentioned, the board of directors voted to oppose the tuition freeze, and this letter that you see in front of you, which you might have all read, Brian and I sent this to every state senator today. So they will be receiving these emails in their inbox and reviewing them, and hopefully they remove the tuition freeze or they grant us the funding, because I don't want to see programs cut. It would put, if we lose 100 kids, that's another $1 million we're set back. So it just doesn't look good, and I think as student government, I think in here it says, there's a good sentence in here, let me find it. The student government has collectively decided that we would rather have a moderate tuition increase next year as opposed to additional painful cuts to programs at our university. So I just really wanted to open up the table for feedback, and if you guys had any questions, that would be great. And furthermore, the board of trustees has to have a 21-day wait period where they give notice of a tuition increase, wait 21 days, and then actually do it. So what they're trying to do is get that done before legislation passes a bill. Because if they can raise tuition before they say we can't, then we're in the clear. But it looks like legislative session might finish like next week. Right, Ashley?
Sunny guys on Thursday.
Okay, well there you go. So we're looking at these circumstances then. They're looking at an 11% increase in tuition for next year. And Miles, I see you cringe because I know that out-of-state tuition's hefty in the pocket. But Brian and I are going to meet with administration next week, and we are going to try to create a deal with them that we will fully support. More than this letter, we will actively pursue senators if the university agrees to only raise tuition 6%. So we're really trying to see like both sides. We don't want programs to get cut, but we understand. Of course, when we're students, it's going to affect lots of money. That's $1,200 increase. So I'd like to open up the table for questions or any feedback. The table's open. JD, you have a question? I see your wheel spinning.
I don't have a question. I have a comment.
Make a comment.
I just wanna say that I think that this was probably not a very easy decision, and not a very. It was a decision that was you guys made. That was like, oh my God, I can't believe we're about ready to do this. And my question, I guess, if you will stem off that, is what can we do to, as student leaders, in engaging the student public with conversations? What can we do that might lead them in the right direction of thinking? Besides explaining the history.
I would like to, the student leaders, if you guys hear students, say, oh, tuition's going up, and student government's advocating for it. From that background knowledge, you can tell we're not advocating for tuition increases. Programs are going to get cut, and we're advocating for a lesser tuition increase than what is being proposed by the BOT. So that's some background knowledge you can definitely provide to them. As we go further down this process, I can totally let you guys know. I'll fill you guys in on this, and if there's like a letter writing campaign or anything like that, I'll let you know about that. But I think background knowledge, because a lot of students don't know. They just know that tuition's going up. They don't understand. Well, the state didn't give us the money we need, or I don't want a program to get cut. I'm on speakerphone, right, Ashley?
Yes, you are.
It always echoes. That's all right, though.
But I'm in a senator's conference room, so it's just me.
Oh, perfect. You want to bring home Chris Newbury in there and tell her to oppose this bill?
She's on the floor right now.
But I just think
It's already passed. There's nothing.
I know. If just educate the students.
As for your concerns about allocation, I have the bill pulled up in front of me, actually. And it says that the funds cannot be appropriated to support intercollegiate athletics programs. So I think that's a no-brainer. But I don't see anything limiting tuition increases specific to Central.
You look like, Ashley, it sounds like you're in the House bill.
Nope, I'm in the Senate Bill 6002, in growth substitute Senate Bill 6002.
We pulled it up today, Sharon and I did, and Brian and I, and it definitely does limit, and that's, the assumption the Board of Trustees and President Gaudino is acting on too. I can't remember the exact section, do you?
No.
No.
That's okay.
Yeah. So this is the dilemma we're in, and if you guys have any feedback that you don't want to voice right now, feel free to come up to the BOD office. And did you have anything to say, Sharon? You were in that meeting, so I don't know if you have anything like to add.
Well, I don't think people could anticipate a multi-year freeze on tuition. Last year, the university worked with the legislature, where the legislature did provide funding in exchange for a no increase to tuition. Where it starts to really impact programming is that doesn't stop cost of living increases from going up and inflationary factors. And so by not raising tuition last year, and yes, it was a wash as far as the state made us whole, it did prevent that ongoing revenue, because it means it wasn't raised. You didn't have that ongoing funds coming in. So they knew it was going to affect long-term planning, but they were not expecting a multi-year tuition increase. And with the pulse of the Senate right now, it doesn't sound like, it doesn't sound like it's a great environment to support an increase. So you're really looking at, not only was there an increase not taken last year, there's the potential for next year. So it's that compounding factor that really starts to impact.
And this does affect the S&A fee too, because tuition increase, S&A can't increase any more than tuition does. So then you're looking at our fund being depleted quicker than we had thought. So that's not only am I advocating as S&A chair, but also as executive VP for the board of directors. There's a lot of moving parts to this. So I'll keep you guys updated, and if you have any questions, come to the BOD office or 236, and we'll fill you guys in. But we're working hard, so we don't want programs to get cut, and we don't want you guys' wallets to be empty either. We'll find a healthy balance. Other than that, I have nothing to report. All right.
We're going to yield to Ashley.
Ashley, I'm going to yield to you.
Great. Hey, thanks, Jacob. Okay. Well, I wanted to briefly address some of the concerns that arose last week over rules of debate. And Jacob called me after the meeting when we had a talk, and I want to continually present to the committee a clear and concise and educated rulings on what Robert's rules are and how we'll operate. So I'm going to read a memo that I sent to Jacob that will hopefully clarify the situation, and we can move forward all more knowledgeable. So per the request of Jacob, I did some research into the rules of debate to come to a more concise answer to the conundrum that we found ourselves in last week. And it seems like John, JD, and myself are all correct to an extent. It falls into a gray area. So according to Robert's Rules of Order in Article 1, Section 2, debate may only happen after a motion has been placed on the table before the committee. It's during this debate, for the purpose of ethics and productivity, that no discussion or debate may be raised which does not directly speak to the motion before the committee. The gray area arises where, in the brief time that I've served on this committee, being just this year, it seems to be the tradition to discuss the funding request before a motion is actually made. So because of this practice, as was the case last week, I was incorrect to call JD or John out of order. There was no motion on the table, and there were no limits to discussion. So JD and John, I am sorry for that. That was my mistake. You were not out of order per Robert's rules last week. So with all of that in mind, as a parliamentarian, it's my recommendation to the committee for the chair to entertain a motion for any amount. It doesn't have to be the full amount, but just to entertain a motion before proceeding into discussion on a funding request. This would place some parameters on discussion to keep the group focused and make our discussions more productive with clear direction. And then I would like to remind the committee that motions can be amended or rescinded at any time. Just because there's one on the table doesn't mean that that's going to actually be what happens, and that the process would include one member making a motion, a second member seconding the motion, and then after the motion's been made and seconded, the first person would begin the discussion as to why they believe that's the appropriate course of action. Justification for the motion should not be given until the motion has been made and seconded. So don't explain why you're making the motion until you've made it. So with that in mind, with the motion on the table, the following points of information regarding previous funding requests can be referenced without being out of order, according to Article 7 under Robert's Rules of Order. And this would pertain to the situation that we were in last week. So if you're curious about previous funding requests, you may ask if the group has requested funds before. You may ask how much they requested. You may ask how much they received. And you may ask if there have been any maintenance issues prompting appropriate concern. And those would include like paperwork errors or money misuse. And those questions would be directed towards Sharon or Joey, since they have longevity with the group. Particular details as to why they did or did not receive full funding in the past, used as justification for or against the motion before the committee, is not germane, and it would be considered out of order. So I sent a copy of this memo to Jacob and to Sharon and Joey. If anyone would like a copy of it, you're welcome to talk to them, or Kate could send it out with the minutes next week. Does that clear up any concerns or questions?
Do you guys have any questions? No?
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks for that, Ashley. Appreciate it. I can, I'll send this to Kay, and you want to put this in the minutes? Okay, so then you guys can have them for your record if you'd like to look over and go back to them. So I guess I can just do this. I can make a copy of them, or I can email it to you too. All right. So that was the longest report we've had all year. maybe add it all together to, I don't know. We'll move to section 6, public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? There?
Yeah, I just wanted to state that you were partially right. It's computer science and engineering.
Okay.
But it's not clear whether or not it's computer science and computer engineering or computer science and engineering.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's your answer.
Awesome, thank you. Is there any further public comment at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll do new business. We'll go to supplemental funding requests. 1414 NERSA National Conference is requesting $3,490. I'll have to deal with you. All right, you guys have till 6:20. About 10 minutes.
All right.
Okay, we did it.
Oh, no, that's not that. All right. Thank you guys for hearing us and being here tonight. My name is Jordan Stingland. I'm a grad assistant for intramurals.
And I'm Derek Thompson, grad assistant for sport clubs.
And so what we're here for is the NERSA conference. And basically what is the National Intramural and Recreational Sports Association. And the conference this year is in Nashville, Tennessee from April 23rd to 26th. Who is going? Derek and myself will be going, along with, we did have, I believe, 2 rec and tourism students. One just backed out. So now we only have one. His name is Jordan Halstead. And one thing that we are asking is our early registration for this, to get the cheapest amount, is $350 for member students at a member institute. It's March 12th, so after that it goes up. So obviously March 12th is next Wednesday, and this is a late meeting. So unfortunately for us, since we got on the I don't want to say roster, I guess, for this, kind of late, we were hoping that we could get a motion or voting tonight if possible. Sorry for the late request, but so just to go over what we're requesting, why. The hotel that we're requesting, it is the host hotel for the hotel, for the conference, sorry. And our travel dates would be the 22nd because the conference does start at 8 a.m. and then it goes late on Saturday night. So our travel dates would be the 22nd and the 27th, which is why we have 5 nights for a hotel and then the 2 rooms. And then our flight was $1,500. It was about $500 each for round trip. And then the registration fee for 3 of us would be $1,000 or $1,050. And well, we did get funding from the Recreation Center for that, so that is covered. So the only thing we're asking is for hotel and flight, which is the $3,490.
And why we want to go? Because the sport club coordinator is unable to go. I would be representing sport clubs for Central. Last summer, I got to go to St. Louis for the NERSA Sport Club Symposium. And from that, we brought a lot of things back. I learned a lot myself, but we brought a lot of things back to implement for this year to better the program. I learned a lot just from talking to the other coordinators. There were 90 universities represented, and through the sessions and round tables. I brought back online registration. For that, it was paper. Everything had to be filled out by paper, and it was, things got lost in the shuffle. So this way, everything's been run real efficiently this year. It's been pretty smooth. Kind of scary because it's been too smooth, I think. We'll see. But yeah, and we also involved with that. There was a risk management portion of that because they fill out medical history and medical insurance. So in case something does happen, we have that information on us. Also with risk management, from that we implemented this year a safety officer program, where we required 2 club members from every club to be first aid and CPR certified, and they also go through 1-hour concussion management training session. It's ran by the rec center's athletic trainer, Ann Wyckoff. We also have a travel check-in process. I believe UNC Wilmington did a presentation on this, and they come for a pre-trip meeting. They come in and we know the travel route, who's going to be in what vehicle, so in case there's an accident, we know who's in what. We don't give any false reports. we also have implemented a point system, which is an incentive program, so the clubs earn a certain portion of matching funds, so we don't just give it to them. It's an equal playing field and they earn what they get. And lastly, we brought back we learned that every university, practically every university, has a student or sport club student council. So it's a group of student leaders who give recommendations on disciplinary actions, policies, and really anything involved in sport clubs. And I want to go again this year because, well, I want to better improve, well, not just me, we want to better improve sport club program. And I specifically want to go because there's going to be a couple of sessions on adapted recreation, and we currently don't have anything on that. It's recreation and sports for students with disabilities, and I'd like to bring that back here. And that's it for us. Oh, he wants.
And for intramural sports, and then speaking on behalf of the rec and tourism students as well, the networking piece is a really big piece, especially for them. Last year we did bring 2 students, and they got a lot out of it. They were able to bring stuff back as like supervisors in their departments and help out. And then a lot of them made connections for job offers, and I believe even one is in Pittsburgh right now because of it. So it's something we're hoping to improve even from now and into the future, that more students will be involved, especially if they're interested in recreation. It's a great opportunity for them, for their professional development. For me personally, I know the NERSA conference is how I got my grad assistantship here, so being in recreation is what I want to do, and it's helping me along my path. And then similar to what Derek talked about, the program improvements, it goes for intramural sports as well. We, in special events, speaking for Eric Scott, we have a lot of different sports that we offer, leagues, and different events that we run for a whole bunch of different students that like different things. So going to these conferences, like the one I went to last year, we brought back different things. Different rule changes for intramural sports specifically. A lot of the things that they do here is they'll talk about, flag football rule changes and stuff like that. That sometimes they're minor things, but sometimes be pretty big. But going to these conferences and going to these sessions, we learn a lot about that, and we're able to bring it back. And then obviously, it all comes down to being beneficial for our students. Making our programs better are going to be what benefits them the most. And that's what we overall want to do.
Does the board have any questions for these 2 gentlemen? All right, we'll go Robert, Sarah, Ashley.
So I was just wondering, why again do you want us, or would you like us to vote on this tonight? If you guys are traveling in April?
Because
the early registration deadline is next Wednesday.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I'm wondering what hotel you're staying at. You're staying at the conference hotel?
I believe it's at the conference hotel.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact name of it. It's Gaylord something, I think.
Okay, so it's through the conference. Okay.
Yes.
And you.
And there's a rec professional staff that are going as well. So Andy suggested that we all stay together. There's another way of doing it. So.
And so there's 3 of you going now?
There's 3 of us students going along with the rec professional staff.
Okay. So are any of the staff sharing the rooms with you, or is it just?
I don't believe with us.
Okay, so you still need 2 rooms then for 3 people, or could you fit in 1 room?
We could fit in 1 room. We request the cot, which is an extra $25 a night, but that would still be cheaper than 2 rooms. So it'd be an extra $25.
Ashley.
I think I have some concerns about your hotel. Why is it necessary for you to travel the day before the conference and the day after it ends? Why do you need 5 nights in that hotel?
Because our conference on Wednesday starts at 8 a.m. and then it goes late on Saturday night as well. And we'd be traveling with the rec professional staff.
So it's in Nashville, Tennessee, so kind of far away.
Sharon, can you answer, would they be able to travel without rec professional staff?
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know what the recreation individual rules are, but that's not the university's rule.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions? All right, we'll go Todd, John, Sarah.
How were the three chosen for this, to attend this?
We are grad assistants, and then there was one other student, I believe he's a senior.
Yes.
And
We wanted to go, it was offered. We were going because we work in the rec department, so we we're going with them. And then we opened it up to students as well.
And you guys were TAs?
Todd or John? I'm sorry.
That's right.
It's the haircuts.
So, all right, well, I had a similar question to what Todd asked. Could you say a little bit more about what the student has done to merit going on this trip? I understand you two gentlemen work with the university, and so the ideas you can bring back, as you've described, will be implemented into next year's, or this year's, but also next year's programming. That makes a lot of sense. I guess I'm not as clear on what the student, in this case, has done to warrant receiving funding to go on this trip.
Well, the conference is a great aid for these students, so what we want is for them to get more involved, especially those that are interested in working in the recreational field. And this would be a great opportunity for him personally, and we opened it up to other students, but he was one that stepped out and actually wanted to go, to hopefully bring stuff back, but also bring stuff with him, and then that would lead to hopefully more students wanting to be involved.
So to clarify John's question, I think, well, to help answer your question, was this open to any students who wanted to go then, and he was like one of the ones who applied to go, or?
Yes,
Okay.
to the recreation student employees, we can return to.
Okay. Does that answer your question, John?
Yes.
Okay. Sarah and then Derek.
I'm wondering if traveling with the rec, not faculty, but staff, saved you any money in travel costs?
Like a group rate?
I mean,
Well,
are they
like
driving you to
gas,
the airport
yeah.
and stuff? And
Yeah.
like, is that
Yeah.
part of why you're doing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But even if we didn't, like I said, the conference starts at 8 a.m., so we really would
Right,
have to
yeah.
leave before it.
But another reason might be that it makes
Yeah.
it so you don't have to get shuttles there or pay for parking or all that.
Derek.
Are these hotel rates fixed? You know them for
Yes.
sure?
Yes.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
fixed.
Any further questions from the board? John.
I just have another follow-up question along the same lines as what I asked previously. Not that attendance at this meeting is required, but is there a particular reason why Jordan Halstead is not here to present his case?
He was in class, he was in my class.
Thank you.
Derek.
Personal privilege.
Granted. Any further discussion from the board? JD?
What, this may seem irrelevant, but what time are you guys planning on leaving on the 27th?
Probably early morning, I'm just assuming.
Any further questions from the committee? Last call? Dustin?
Basically, the point of problems should be created, when we could vote on this tonight.
I think it's up to the committee.
The committee would need to
Make
vote,
a motion.
even though we've already amended the agenda, and maybe Ashley would need to, things we've already approved the agenda, Ashley, can they do a vote to approve an amendment this late in the meeting to say we would like to vote on this?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be on the agenda. After we've conducted our business, I don't have the agenda in front of me at the moment. After we've conducted our last order of business within that particular section, a member could just move to bring this to the table for a vote.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Yes. But we could entertain a motion to add it to the agenda under voting, correct?
Or just.
You could, that would just, I
Or
mean,
just move to vote?
it doesn't have to be on the agenda.
Okay, okay, thanks Ashley. Dustin?
Yeah.
I would like to move to a vote on the supplementary request for the amount of $3,409.
Okay. Is there a second? He
The full amount.
moved to a vote to approve for the full amount.
I thought you just moved to vote on it.
Vote for the vote?
Oh, actually, do we have to?
Yeah, you can vote.
Okay.
Voting now.
Yeah, so is there,
The speaker was the update.
okay. So Is there a second to move to a vote?
I'll say.
Miles, all right, second. Any discussion? All in favor of voting on this right now? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I am.
What was that?
I'm opposed.
Okay, any abstentions? Okay, we'll vote on this now. No. The table is open to discussion on voting, I guess.
Is there a motion for the?
Is there a motion for the vote? Derek?
So moved.
No. JD?
I motioned to approve this for the amount of $2,620. My reasoning for that would be that would cut the, obviously we can't.
Okay, wait, Katie, wait. So that's what you say. Now we'll get a second, and then you can give your reasoning.
Okay.
Okay, is there a second? All right, Dustin, second. Any discussion?
Wait, yeah, now.
Okay, so that amount is, obviously we can't tell them how exactly to spend the money, like how many things they can buy, but this is the money. Would pay for one hotel room, since there are 3 people and they could easily share one room. And it would also give them the additional $25 a night for the cot, that they said that would cost for them.
Okay, any further discussion? Miles?
I think they can't recognize the gallery, or, no, I can't do that.
You can yield to the gallery, right? Yeah, correct answer.
Okay. I had a quick question. So, you guys have 2 rooms right now, or you guys have one, which is a cot?
They have
You have 2 rooms right now, and then you guys would want the room cot that would cost $25 extra.
Miles, they have 2 right now, and the motion on the table is to provide them for 1 room plus a cot.
Okay.
Okay.
But we can't specify that, it's just.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can't say where it goes, but that would give them enough funding.
That
The
would,
rationale for the amount that
That's
he.
what I'm making.
that was it.
Okay. Any further discussion? John, I knew you got something. I could see your brain working down there.
Well, I'll just say something that maybe is, I'll just say that I certainly support these 2 gentlemen going. I think they made a very powerful case for why they should go, and I would support full funding for their particular request. For the student, on the other hand, while I can certainly understand why a student would want to go, I think simply wanting to go and signing up to go on a trip across the United States to attend a conference, to me, is not a very compelling case for S&A funding. So I would encourage rejection of this motion and support a different motion for a lower amount to support just these 2 gentlemen to go.
Okay.
John, you can amend if you would like.
I accept the amendment.
All right, can I have a moment to figure out what the amount would be?
Yeah, in the meantime, is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll wait.
It would just be 5.
It'd be 1995, I think.
It would.
Oh, we could cut the cot.
Yeah, you could.
Get complicated.
So cut the cot and one for registration fees.
That's 100.
No, they're not asking for registration.
So it's 500, 350, 8,
Maybe 1995. Wait, hold on.
John?
All right, on the advice of counsel here, I would like to propose an amendment to the motion for 1995. To amend the motion to support this group for $1,995.
Do you accept that motion, JD?
I accept that motion.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, we have to vote on
Okay, all right, never mind.
Is there a second?
How does this work? I don't know.
Is it? Second.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes.
Todd seconds. Any discussion on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to the amendment? Any abstentions to the amendment? Okay. Was that an opposed or an abstention, Derek?
That was an abstention.
I think your hand was up the whole time.
Oh, it's just.
Okay, so now the current motion on the table that we will discuss is for $1,995. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor of approving Nurse National Conference for the amount of $1,995?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, all right, approved for $1,995. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Request, $2,175.
Is there a second? Josh, second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion for funding source for the full amount?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. I've always wanted to say that.
You've been waiting a long time.
Yeah.
I know. All right, move on to section 2. The observer is requesting the amount of $282.36. If you guys did not receive that in the email, check your emails more often. But I think they were printed off. So I'd like to open up the table for discussion on that. Is there any discussion at this time? You guys are all reading. Todd.
Yeah, I always wondered what happens when you get stuck on the other side of the pass and you're on a budget. Two questions, I guess. If we can ask questions from the gallery.
You can recognize them.
You've got you've also got extra cost on here that you incurred in San Diego because of buses and taxis to and from the hotel.
Yeah, if you recall, we cut our original request by $750 to go to a cheaper hotel, and they just needed a little more money on transportation than we were estimating at the front end.
And then
We also were getting stormy and horrible, and it wasn't always a graceful situation.
wasn't typical San Diego, huh?
No, they've been in a drought for a year and we brought the rain.
Okay. And then you've got you have a motor pool van. You had a van as well.
That was the original intent, but the way the weather had been, I did not want any of us to have to be responsible to drive a university vehicle over the pass, because the days.
So you guys took the shuttle.
Yeah.
And then had to rent the car to come back. Okay, that explains it. That's.
But I just, we really didn't want to have to make somebody drive that perilous trip, it seemed. You know, if that had been the only increase, we would have absorbed that in the department, but it just kind of got, by the time the flights got canceled and the pass got closed, it started to round up the costs.
Well, I mean, you're basically talking a $68 difference between the van and the shuttle. You couldn't foresee the rent-a-car thing, so. Anyway.
Sharon?
So I rarely speak up, but typically I get the whole getting stuck on the other side of the pass. That was outside of the norm. But typically this committee allocates a certain amount of funds, and it's up to them to manage them either to maximize the funds. We don't typically go back and say, well, we changed our mind and we rented this instead of that, because that's all a matter of choice. It's frequently we don't fund trips to their full extent as it is. So I have a little bit of a problem with items that were by choice that were not part of the extenuating circumstances of the weather just getting from Seattle to Ellensburg.
Derek?
As I understand it, they originally intended to do motor pool, basically. They decided against motor pool because of the weather, and then that cost them a little bit more, and then they had some unforeseen thing. So, is that correct? That's right?
Well, the pass was closed and the flights we were delayed 24 hours from a canceled flight, and then when we did land in Seattle Monday, the pass was closed and the shuttle couldn't get us back until Tuesday.
Sure, but the question is whether or not, I mean, you chose airporter for safety reasons, right?
Okay. Any further discussion at this time?
Are we voting on this tonight?
Yeah, it is. We put it on this voting.
I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
that we approve the $176.11 difference
Okay.
in the transportation.
Is there a second? Robert Lane, second. Any discussion at this time? JD?
I just kind of have a question regarding that. So that 176 is the cost for the pass. That does not include the San Diego transportation, if that's my understanding?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Any further discussion at this time? All in favor of approving the Observer in the amount of $176.11? All right. Any opposed? Oh, yeah, Robert Lane seconded it. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the ayes have it. All right. Observer's request was approved for $176.11. All right, move on to section 9, communication received. I already read my communication. You guys want me to read it again?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, didn't think so. So we'll move on to section 10, public comment second call. Been quiet with Rich gone. Where is he? Can you put that on the record?
It's being taped.
All right, so we'll move to section 11, adjournment. I'd like to move to adjourn the meeting. Can I do that?
No.
I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Dustin.
Adjourn the meeting.
Robert Lane.
Second.
All right. I'm gonna filibuster. I'm just kidding. Any discussion? You have green eggs in hand? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, meeting adjourned at 6:35.